to our series on Bach's Orgelbüchlein. Today we're looking at one of the Christmas chorales, one of the great Christmas hymns, Vom Himmel kam der Engel, Schaar. We've talked a little bit before about symbolism in Bach, that it's something we have to be a bit careful not to attribute symbolism where symbolism isn't found. But one of the few places where we can be really quite sure is that Bach, whenever he refers to movement between heaven and earth, builds in scales. And this is the ultimate movement between heaven and earth. It's the angels coming down to visit the shepherds at Christmas, and it's the ultimate set of scales. It's incessant scales running up and down the keyboard. There are angels going up and down at two different speeds, in the pedals, in crotchets, and in the hands, in semiquavers. The two hands incidentally work together and share the semiquaver figuration between them. If we look at the old Bach Gesellschaft edition, for some reason they indicated that the piece could be played on two manuals, something which Bach doesn't write, and which really doesn't make sense of those shared scales. So if you try and play it on two manuals, it really divides up things which belong together. So I really don't quite understand the logic of the old Bach Gesellschaft edition, and I certainly don't recommend that anybody should do that today. There's a funny thing about the chorale itself. It's a well-known, or was a well-known Christmas hymn, and somebody wrote a descant to it. And that descant itself became familiar as the chorale melody Pur Natus in Bethlehem, which Bach also sets in Orgelbüchlein. And Pur Natus, of course, became very popular, very widely known in lots of countries, while this hymn, Vom Himmel kam, the original, has been largely forgotten. So on to the piece itself. The first thing which I'd like to say about it is that there is a tendency among organists to play it as fast as humanly possible. Those semiquaver scales zip up and down almost as though there is a competition for a medal to play it in under a minute. And the angels zoom up and down at such a lick that there seems to be a danger that some celestial traffic police will wave them in and give them a speeding ticket any minute. Why do we do this, or why is this commonly done? Well, there are a number of reasons, of course. The melody itself, if you try to project the melody at a speed which will give it that kind of bounce, then the semiquavers are going to get very, very fast indeed. And there is no particular reason on Bach's organ why you can't play quick scales. The action was light and fairly shallow, and so you can play quickly. But at the same time, first of all, the melody, as I've said already, is derived from that of Pur Natus. It's essentially the same hymn, and we would never dream of playing Pur Natus in the Orgelbüchlein setting or any other setting at that kind of exaggerated speed. So there we're quite used to having the chorale melody, to projecting the chorale melody without needing to increase the speed like that. So I think we just don't need to do it, and I would urge a little bit of restraint. Registration, that's a difficult one. It is possible to play this piece in a very light registration. I think Peter Herford used to play it with a 4-foot flute and an 8-foot pedal, and there is a great deal to be said for that. Having said that, it can seem a little bit contrived, and it does tend to belong to an even faster tempo. The alternative which I'm trying today is to play it on a slightly more substantial registration, 8 and 4-foot flutes and the sesquialter, which will give slightly more depth to it and a feeling of hosts of angels, which is what it's all about. It's not just one angel fluttering up and down, but there are hosts of angels coming, and I'm hoping that this registration will give that sense of slight chaos of hosts of angels flying through the air.